We spend about a third of our lives in bed, resting, recharging, dreaming. So it makes perfect sense that what we're sleeping on really matters for our comfort, our health, and maybe even the planet. But have you ever, actually thought about what's in your mattress? Because the world of sleep is, well, it's changing. There's this big move towards what people are calling bio mattresses. Now, for this deep dive, we're focusing on mattresses made mostly from natural stuff, organic latex, plant-based foams, natural fibers, things like that. The goal, less chemical exposure, less environmental impact. So today, we're diving deep into this booming bio mattress market. And our guide for this is a really fascinating report from Cognitive Market Research. It's packed with insights and, frankly, some pretty incredible growth projections.
Yeah, absolutely. So our mission here is to unpack what's driving all this growth. We want to understand who the key players are around the world and, figure out what makes these bio mattresses so appealing right now. We're hunting for those nuggets of knowledge that help you understand the specific industry, but also what it signals about bigger consumer trends.
Okay, let's jump right into the numbers then. They really tell a story. So the global biomattress market size was already $1,272.1 million back in 2021. Pretty substantial. But get this, the forecast. It's set to surge to $2,930 million by 2033.
Wow.
Yeah, that's growing at a really healthy 7.2% compound annual growth rate, CAGR.
7.2%. That's serious momentum.
It really is. So those are big figures. What's behind them? What's really driving this? And what does it mean for you listening?
Well, what's really interesting is how the report breaks down the core drivers. There are three main ones, and they really show a shift in what people care about. First, there's just this rising health awareness. People are way more conscious now about what they bring into their homes, what they breathe, what they touch.
Especially what they sleep on for 8 hours, right?
Exactly. So they're actively looking for non-toxic options. Second, there's this huge trend the report calls green consumerism. Basically, the environmental footprint of a product is a major factor in whether someone buys it.
So it's not just, is it good for me,
Yeah.
but is it good for the planet?
Precisely. And third, building on that, there's just a clear growing demand for these non-toxic, biodegradable sleep solutions. When you put those three together, health, environment, demand, you see how these powerful consumer trends are converging. They're fundamentally reshaping the mattress market. It's values-driven.
That makes a lot of sense. We see that across so many industries, don't we? People voting with their wallets for more than just, say, the lowest price or basic function.
Absolutely. It's becoming about peace of mind, not just a comfortable night's sleep.
So, okay, the global picture is strong, but you mentioned variations. Where are these shifts happening most intensely? Let's zoom in regionally. That's where it gets really interesting, I bet.
Definitely. So North America currently leads the pack. It generated $515.2 million back in 2021, and it's projected to go over $1,116.3 million by 2033. That's a 6.7% CAGR.
Still very solid growth.
Yeah. And within North America, the U.S. is the giant, expected to hit $756.9 million by 2033. Then you've got Canada at $253.4 million and Mexico at $106.1 million.
Okay, but hang on. The report says Mexico showing the fastest growth in North America, an 8.5% CAGR.
That's right.
That really stands out compared to the U.S. and Canada. Any thoughts on why Mexico specifically might be seeing such a surge?
That's a great catch. It's one of those interesting details in the data. The report doesn't spell it out explicitly, but we can make some educated guesses, right? Given Mexico's economic growth, you probably have an expanding middle class.
Right. More disposable income.
Exactly. Plus, maybe more influence from sustainable trends filtering down from the US and Canada. So you likely have a growing group of consumers who have the money and the desire to prioritize health and eco-friendly choices, maybe mirroring trends we saw earlier in the US or Europe.
That makes sense. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, also a big player, I assume.
Oh, definitely. A significant market. It's projected to climb from $384.2 million in 2021 to $852.6 million by 2033. That's a 6.9% CAGR.
Very close to North America's overall rate.
Pretty close, yeah. And the key markets there. The UK is looking at $192.7 million, Germany around $148.4 million, and France about $116.8 million, all by 2033.
And I see the UK and Germany have particularly strong growth rates themselves, 7.9% and 7.5%. What's the story there?
Well, the source directly links that strong European growth to a high consumer preference for sustainable bedroom products specifically, and also the increasing number of organic certifications.
Ah, certifications. So proof matters there.
It really seems to. It suggests consumers in those established markets want validation, that proof of green you mentioned, which does make you wonder, is that same push for formal certification as strong elsewhere? Or does green mean something slightly different in faster growing regions?
That's a really good question. Maybe in some places, just having a natural, non-toxic option is the big win initially. Which actually brings us nicely to a region that's not just growing, but apparently booming.
Right, Asia Pacific. The report calls it booming, and the numbers back it up. It's expected to more than double from $265.2 million to nearly $700 million, $698.8 million by 2033, and that's with an impressive 8.4% CAGR overall for the region.
Wow, higher than North America or Europe.
Yep. China's leading the way in sheer volume, projected at $294.2 million by 2033. Then you have Japan, India, South Korea following. But India really stands out. It shows a phenomenal 10.2% CAGR.
10.2%. That's the highest globally, you said.
The highest globally, yes.
So what's the secret sauce in India? Why such rapid adoption there?
Well, beyond the factors like increasing urbanization and growing awareness about sleep wellness and eco stuff, a huge factor seems to be the rise of DTC, direct-to-consumer e-commerce.
Oh, online sales bypassing traditional stores.
Exactly. It makes these specialized products like Bio Mattresses accessible to way more people in urban areas than before. It kind of democratizes access, connecting global trends directly with local buyers much faster than traditional retail might have allowed, say, 10 years ago.
Fascinating. Okay, what about other regions? Latin America.
Also showing healthy growth. Brazil's projected to hit $69 million. Colombia's growing strong at an 8.9% CAGR. And places like Peru, Chile, Argentina also have solid double-digit revenue projections for 2033.
And the drivers there. Similar story?
Pretty similar. Rising disposable income plus the expansion of mattress retail chains making the products physically available to more people.
Got it. And finally, the Middle East and Africa.
That's described more as an emerging market. Steady interest, but smaller numbers for now. Egypt, for instance, forecasts over $10 million. Turkey, over $22 million by 2033. The drivers seem linked to growing tourism, wellness trends, and hospitality hotels wanting green options, and just generally rising awareness of green home products as people get more connected to global trends.
Okay, wow. So we've gone around the globe. Let's try and bring this all together. Let's look at the whole picture. What's the main takeaway here?
Well, the big summary is this. The bio mattress market is undeniably growing everywhere. It's being pushed by that powerful mix of health concerns, sustainability demands, and material innovation we talked about. But what's strategically interesting, and the report highlights this, is the contrast. North America and Europe have the biggest revenues right now.
They dominate the current market size.
Right. But Asia Pacific and Latin America are growing faster. Their CAGR is higher. So that raises questions about market maturity versus emerging opportunities. Like, where will the next big innovation come from? Will it be the high-growth regions like Asia adopting new tech quickly?
Or will it be the established markets focusing on refinements and those certifications?
Exactly. It's a key dynamic to watch.
So, thinking about you, our listener, whether you're just curious about trends or actually mattress shopping, what does this all mean? I think it clearly shows more and more of us are really prioritizing safe, eco-friendly sleep spaces. We want healthier homes, and the industry is definitely responding. Our values are really starting to shape what's available, even for something as basic as a mattress. This deep dive makes it pretty clear. The future for bio mattresses isn't just looking good, it seems. Pretty pivotal in this bigger shift towards sustainable living, just like the source suggests.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with is look at bio mattresses. It's really not just about sleep. It's a perfect little case study, isn't it? It shows how consumer demand for healthier, greener products is fundamentally reshaping industries. Even in markets that might seem kind of niche, makes you wonder what other everyday things are next for this kind of bio-transformation. Something to think about. Welcome to the Dope Dive. Today, we're peeling back the layers on something we all use, but maybe don't think about too much. The bio mattress market. It's evolving really fast. Our mission, to unpack what's driving its growth, look at the hurdles, and, the cool new trends shaping its future. This is all based on a pretty detailed market dynamics report, and I think we're going to find some, genuinely surprising stuff about our sleep setup. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And really, this isn't just about mattresses or sleep, it's kind of a window into these bigger shifts, right?
Hmm.
How consumers are thinking, how manufacturing is changing. You look at this market and you really see how sustainability and health awareness are reshaping all industries.
That's a really good way to put it, a microcosm. So let's jump right in then. What is fueling this market? Because the growth seems, well, pretty strong.
Oh, definitely. The number one thing, no question, is this huge wave of consumer interest in sustainability. Eco-friendly products. People are really paying attention now. They're looking for things like natural latex, bamboo, organic cotton, materials that are actually biodegradable. And it's not just greenwashing they want. Eco-conscious folks are actively trying to find stuff that's non-toxic, recyclable, biodegradable, trying to cut down on indoor pollution, reduce their carbon footprint.
Right, I get that. People want to feel better about the things they buy, especially things they bring into their homes, spend so much time with. But you mentioned health, too. It's not just the planet, is it? What are the specific health angles people are worried about here?
Exactly. That's the other massive driver. Personal well-being. Health consciousness is way up. So there's this big shift towards sleep products, mattresses included, that don't have harmful chemicals. People are learning about and getting concerned about things like VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and chemical flame retardants you often find in like traditional foam mattresses. And this is especially important if you have allergies or skin sensitivities, maybe respiratory problems. They're really looking for chemical-free, non-allergenic options.
So it's this powerful mix, good for the earth, good for your own health. And it sounds like there are other things helping push it along, too. External factors.
Absolutely. You've got these green certifications popping up, and regulations are becoming more supportive, too. That's giving it a real boost. Think about labels like Tex that checks for harmful stuff in textiles, or Certi-Pure US for foam safety, low emissions, and GOTS, the Global Organic Textile Standard. These are becoming really important. They basically build consumer trust, right? You see the label, you know it meets certain standards for organic materials or environmental safety. And that, in turn, kind of pushes manufacturers to innovate within those greener boundaries. It's an interesting cycle.
That is compelling. It's like this perfect storm of environmental awareness, personal health focus, and standards people can actually trust. Here's where it gets really interesting. But even with all that momentum, no market's perfect, right? There must be challenges. What's the other side of the coin? What's holding back? Maybe wider adoption?
Yeah, absolutely. The first big one is cost. Let's be honest, bio mattresses usually cost more, sometimes significantly more than traditional ones. And there's a reason for that. It goes back to using sustainably sourced materials, which can be pricier. And the eco-friendly manufacturing processes themselves often cost more. So that higher price tag, unfortunately, puts them out of reach for a lot of budget-conscious consumers.
Yeah.
Especially in emerging markets where price is, a really key factor.
That makes sense. Price is always a big hurdle for new tech or sustainable options. What else is slowing things down, maybe in terms of people just knowing about them?
That's the second major thing, yeah. Low consumer awareness, particularly in developing economies, but honestly, even elsewhere, too. A lot of potential buyers just don't really know much about the health benefits or the environmental advantages, so they often just stick with what they know, the conventional mattresses, either out of habit or because there isn't good, clear information easily available to them. The message just isn't quite cutting through everywhere yet.
So the benefits might be clear, but if people aren't hearing about them, they can't choose them. Okay. What about the actual product? You hear sometimes about natural materials maybe not lasting as long. Is durability a concern?
It definitely can be. That's a significant challenge, actually. Some types of bio mattresses might have a shorter lifespan. The issue is natural materials sometimes need specific processing or need to be blended with stabilizers. If that's not done right, they can break down faster. This gets worse in, say, humid climates. You start worrying about mold or moisture issues, the material degrading, and obviously if that happens, it hits consumer confidence hard. People might not buy again. It's this tricky balance. People want natural, but natural sometimes needs more careful engineering to be durable.
That's a really key point, a design tension, like you said. So what does this all mean? When you think about these trade-offs for the consumer, the cost, maybe not knowing enough, worrying about how long it lasts, how are the companies in this space dealing with it? What are the clever strategies pushing the market forward despite these roadblocks?
Well, that's where it gets exciting again. We're seeing a lot of innovation. One big trend is hybrid designs. So mattresses that still use bio-based materials, but they're integrating smart features. Things like sensors to track your posture, or tech for temperature control, maybe really advanced comfort layers, still using natural stuff where possible. This really appeals to that eco-conscious buyer who also wants the latest tech for their sleep. They don't necessarily see it as an either anymore.
Ah, interesting. So blending the best of both worlds, sort of. What about how these actually get to the customer? Is that changing?
Huge changes there. A really rapid shift towards online sales, and especially direct-to-consumer or DTC models. Selling directly online cuts out the middleman, right? So that can help bring the cost down a bit. But just as importantly, it lets the brands talk directly to the consumer, explain the benefits, educate them, build that relationship. We're even seeing things like virtual mattress consultations or subscription services popping up.
Okay, so making it easier to buy, more convenient, and building that direct trust. Speaking of trust, what about transparency, especially with those concerns about materials and durability we talked about?
That's become absolutely critical. Traceability and transparency are huge differentiators now. The leading brands, they're really highlighting where their materials come from, ethical sourcing. They're tracking the life cycle of materials, sometimes right from the farm. They're telling stories about their efforts, carbon neutral manufacturing, recyclable packaging, fair labor practices. It's not just talk either. We see data showing this really resonates. When companies invest in being transparent, customers notice, they feel more connected, and they come back. It builds serious loyalty with shoppers who care about values.
It really seems like these innovations tackle both sides, the desire for sustainability and those modern expectations around tech, convenience, and importantly, honesty from brands. It just shows how something like a mattress, which seems so everyday, is actually right at the center of these big shifts in consumer values, technology, environmental thinking. We've covered a lot, the growth drivers, the challenges, these really interesting future trends. Hopefully, this deep dive has given you a real shortcut to understanding this complex picture.
Absolutely. And maybe one last thought to leave you with, something to chew on after this deep dive. How might this growing demand we see in mattresses for transparency, for smart integrated features, how might that start influencing other things we buy for our homes? And maybe even, what does this constant evolution mean for how we ourselves define what comfort or value really means in our living spaces going forward?